Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC, and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. I also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you would like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it get put together live, send me a message today. Alright, so tonight we're going to be building young Ethan a gaming PC. So this is a birthday PC. We've done a few of these recently for young fellas. So yeah, this is another one. So what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be using this DP31 case, the same case that we built in the other night. So it's a revamp of that case. We've only built in it once before, but we've got some good RGB fans that go inside it. We're going to put 3 on the front, 2 on the top, and we're going to replace this one at the back there. It's just a plain black one there that's mounted into the case. Alright, so let's get started here tonight. Let's go through what we've got. So this is just for a young fella, like I said. So we've just got the i3-10100F here for our CPU. We've got the MSI B460 Pro VDH Wi-Fi motherboard, which we've used a couple of times recently before.
Tim, Mark says hi, Tim.
Hey Mark, how you going? So we've got the Asus TUF Gaming GTX 1650 for our graphics card here. We have a Western Digital 1TB hard drive. We have a Crucial P1 500GB NVMe SSD. And we have 16 gigabytes of Spectrix D41 3200 MHz CL16 memory. Hey man, yeah, so if you want to send me a message, the best way to do it is probably Facebook or via email. So yeah, reach out via either of those channels, and yeah, I'll respond to you. I won't be able to respond tonight, but I'll be able to respond tomorrow. And we've got a Cooler Master 550 watt power supply with the 5-year warranty. It's 80 plus bronze rated efficiency. And as I said, we're going to be putting it in this Antac DP31 case with 6 ARGB fans here. So let's get started. We'll have a look at this motherboard quickly. So we get a rear I/O shield, some SATA cables, and some Wi-Fi antennae. And there'll be MSI Go Faster badge. And there'll be our optical disc and all that sort of stuff that we don't use anymore. Okay. So let's come around the front here and I will show you this motherboard. Alrighty, so do you want to just change the view so I can see where I'm holding it?
Sorry.
Yep, sweet. Alright, so let's have a look at this board here. So this is the MSI B460 Pro VDH Wi-Fi motherboard, and starting at the top here we have an 8-pin CPU power connector. Did you touch the focus?
No, I haven't touched anything.
Why is that not focusing?
It just wants to focus on the behind this one.
There we go, look at that. Just have to turn it on and off again. Alrighty, so at the top here we have our 8-pin CPU power connector. This powers our CPU. We've got some heat sinks here on our MOSFET, VRM and co-processors. We've got a little chassis intrusion header, I think it is up there, JC1. We have a CPU fan header, pump fan header. We've got dual channel memory here, so these 2 slots would be channel 1, these 2 slots would be channel 2. We have our easy debug LEDs over here. I can't quite see the screen. There we go. And then we've got our 24-pin ATX power here. We have 2 more sysfan headers around here and some voltage selection pins, probably for RGB, I'd say. We have 2 horizontally orientated SATA ports there and 2 vertically orientated SATA ports. Then down the bottom here we have our front panel connection header for our power reset button and whatnot. We have above it there the post-beep speaker, diagnostic speaker header. We've got our trusted platform module down here. We have USB 3 here. We've got 2 USB 2s. We've got a COM port and serial header. We have a 12 volt RGB, a 5 volt RGB. We've got our front panel audio pins here. These are our audio capacitors. These ones here are COM port debug pins. And this one here obviously is our CMOS battery. Then we have the clear CMOS pins here, obviously, and all this stuff on that part of the board is to do with the audio system. So we'll see our audio connections at the back here as close as possible to the rest of that. We have our Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1 card. We've got our Ethernet port, 4 USB 3.0s. We've got 3 display outputs here, a HDMI, VGA and DVI. None of them will be in use for this build. We have our PS2 port here for our old school keyboard and mice, and 2 USB 2s there. And that just brings us to this stuff in the middle here. Let me hold that straight. I need to get something to put them on so I'm not holding them with my hands and just moving them around like this for people. So we've got 2 M2 slots here, so we've got one here, one down there. We've got our PCIe X16 slot for our graphics card, and then we've got 2 little X1 slots down there as well. And that is all the main features of this motherboard.
Tim?
Yeah.
Daniel says, hey Timmy, how you doing?
Hey man, how you going? Good to have you with us.
Tim?
Yeah.
Michael says, hi Tim, you just bought a B550 Steel Legend, do you recommend?
Yeah. Nothing wrong with Steel Legend. I've got one on my test bench right now, X570 Steel Legend. The non-Wi-Fi version. Alrighty, so let's get into it. We'll start with our CPU. And they just give us the crappy cooler, they do. We're not going to stand for a crappy cooler. Here's a slightly less crappy cooler. We're going to use the slightly less crappy cooler.
Not the one with the... Oh yeah. Don't mind the little bit of thermal paste that's still on it, but...
Yeah, that's just from last time. That
these
doesn't
things are
matter.
pretty cool. They've got...
Excuse the pun.
Yeah.
No, they look all right. They look better than the other ones. Yeah.
Brian says he sings. Yes.
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 There we go. We got our CPU in the socket, and that plate didn't want to come off then. That's okay. Alright, so we are going to need a little bit of thermal compound here. So I'm just going to put a dog of Shit. What did you do? You're really wrecking the place tonight, aren't you?
I just tried to move my chair. Shit.
Alright, so I'm going to put all of these little clips into the lock position. Well, not wanting to go through, eh? did I have them in the lock position? Oh, frick, I had them in the lock position already. I was like, oh, for sure I haven't done this. There we go.
Tim.
Yeah.
Roman says the heart has been transplanted.
Yes. Yeah, see, Intel now include these ones with all their CPUs. So this is the newer design, like the refresh. Oh, jeez, just... Go where I want you to go. There we go. So there's our Intel stock cooler installed, and you can always tell these are correctly installed when you see the little black pieces come through and the white clips holding it all in place. Alright, so next on the list here we've got our memory. So we've got 2 sticks and 4 slots here, so we need to pay attention to which slots we use first. So we can't just put them right next to each other. If not, there will be a performance drop. And the reason why...
Do they always have like a little diagram?
Not always, no, unfortunately. A lot of them do. MSI are good for it. Gigabyte are generally good for it. Sometimes the diagram can be a little bit ambiguous if you're not familiar with what you're doing. Sometimes it'll just have like 2 slots and like a little asterisk next to them, and that will indicate that these are the first 2 that you should be using. Okay, so I'm going to swap this offset here into the 2280 position, because that's in the 2110 position, and let's be real, no one's really using 2110 length M2 drives these days. Not a lot of people using Octane and stuff like that anymore. Yeah, so we used to use these M2 drives to cache our hard drives, to make hard drives run faster. But we don't usually do that anymore because the cost of SSDs have come down.
Daniel says she likes, did she drop?
Um,
I knocked a heap of pop figures off the top of the fridge. Looks like a shit.
yeah.
He says a few 3080s cracked.
What's that?
A few 3080s cracked.
A few 3080s cracked. What do you mean? Alright. So we got this nice hinged panel on this case. Huh? Yeah. I'm not going to fit 3 on the front here because I have to leave that hard drive tray in the middle, and the hard drive tray is going to be in the way of 3 fans on the front here.
Could you put it
So
one
what-
on the bottom?
Yeah, so what we're gonna do, it's gonna be a slightly different configuration, but it's gonna look good. Is you want to hold that fan for me? Actually, since it's gonna be like this, I think I might try and screw it in this way. Yeah, now I don't need you to hold it. Sorry. Don't leave the room. No, I don't reckon. I reckon that's got to go down a bit. So we're going to move this down. It's tied up. Yeah.
Danny wants to know what makes some GPU manufacturers so much more expensive than others, e.g. EVGA versus Certec. Is it worth the price increase?
Well, I mean, you mentioned EVGA. So EVGA is an American company. Everything's made in America. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive just because of that. EVGA is still pretty price competitive though. And they make good products. So there's nothing wrong with that. So the thing that people sort of kind of forget about how this graphics card scene kind of works, right? Is these companies are buying the GPUs from Nvidia and AMD. And then they just put their own branding on it. like they're motherboard manufacturers for the most part, right? So they're just making a smaller board called a graphics card, and that's what they're doing really. So it's just like any other like market-based commodity, where when there's a lot of players involved, some of them are going to make premium products and some of them are going to make cheaper ones. And so because those big names have the premium market stitched up, a lot of the growth and a lot of the potential within the category is kind of driven by those sorts of people.
AJ wants to know, so what is Ethan in his PC?
What's that?
AJ wants to know what Ethan's getting in the PC.
This is just a i3 with a 1650 Super. No, sorry, just a 1650 normal rather. So the hard part is just configuring this. But yeah, getting back to the graphics card thing, right? So whenever you see things like this, they've worked out that for Zotac to sell cards, right, they need to go after the budget market. That's their opportunity to sell cards. They can't go up against Asus and make like a premium card. They don't have to name for themselves to do that. So what they do is they go after the budget market, because people will give their brand a go if it's cheaper. So the GPUs are coming from NVIDIA. NVIDIA makes them. There's no such thing as like a 3080 GPU, which is a it's called an NVIDIA GA102. It's not. The 3080 is a consumer brand. It doesn't mean anything to NVIDIA, if that makes sense. So we got the yeah.
AJ says, depending on the parts, they can store some also can be based on.
Yeah, so
also
there's
systems where they buy all cards from NVIDIA.
yeah, they're all buying the GPUs from NVIDIA, and they're motherboard manufacturers. So they've got all this stuff that gets mounted to the motherboard. They got chips, they got capacitors, they got transistors, they got resistors, they got all those components kind of there, or they'll source special ones for the card. NVIDIA might have some specs that have to be met for their products, but essentially everyone is out there building their own graphics cards based on these NVIDIA and AMD GPUs. So don't get graphics card and GPU mixed up. They're two different things. It's not like one is not like just an abbreviation of the other. The card itself refers to a GPU that's actually on a card. This is really kind of shit in here.
Hold it or something.
Yeah, can you? Because it's just everywhere I put it, it falls.
AJ says, well, Ethan should enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. See, back when I was a kid, we didn't have a gaming PC as such. We just had PCs,
Yeah.
and they could sometimes do
Oh,
some
look at this.
things.
You can just put it up there.
Yeah, no, that's going to be in my way though, because as soon as I get that back fan off, putting it back like this, because I need to put this other fan on.
Shouldn't I?
No, the RGB goes to the top. The grade's at the bottom. Look at the Antec brand.
Yeah.
See?
I know.
Alright, so I'll put this other black fan up here because it's not actually going to be seen from the front of the case. And then we have 5 fans to mount elsewhere on the case. So that'll be pretty cool.
Tim,
Yeah.
AJ wants to know what would be the difference between the 3060 versus 3060 Ti's. I guess I'm just asking, what does the Ti version of the other just want?
Do you want to try and answer this one, babe? What's the difference between a 3060 and a 3060 Ti? Is it a big difference or a little difference?
Well, it is a big difference. The GPU.
It's a totally different GPU, yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, so alright, so forget everything you think you know about NVIDIA graphics cards, 30 series graphics cards. Because there are only 3 different GPUs out there. NVIDIA only has 3 on the market. So you might see 3080, 3080 Ti, 3070, 3060 Ti, all these freaking models, but there's actually only 3 different GPUs that go into all these different cards. 3060 is called a GA106, and basically that card is the weakest out of all of the 30 series cards. Get this. Sweet. Yeah, so basically, oh no, it's not in. That's not going anywhere.
Yeah, you can stop popping around and holding up.
Okay. Christine's gonna untangle some of that stuff around the back, and we'll get started around the front. I was talking about 30 series GPUs. So there's only 3 different ones. So 3080, 3090, and 3080 Ti. They're called GA102, and that's the top GPU that you can get. So the differences between those 3 cards in terms of performance is limited, right? Now the 3070 Ti, the 3070 and the 3060 Ti, all 3 of those cards are related. They are all NVIDIA GA104 cards. So basically the 3060 Ti, the difference between a 3060 Ti and a 3060 is bigger than the difference between a 3070 and a 3070 Ti, and bigger than the difference between a 3080 and a 3080 Ti, because it's actually a totally different GPU. It's not like the 3060 Ti is just a better version of the 3060. That's completely inaccurate to say that. So if someone tells you that a 3060 Ti is just like a 3060 but just a little bit better, they're completely wrong. And I wouldn't listen to anything they have to say from that point on about graphics cards anyway. So yeah, definitely if you get a choice between a 3060 and a 3060 Ti, you go the Ti every day of the week. These screws, these fans don't feel like they screw all the way down. Oh yeah, it just gets stuck a little bit. I was looking for those screws. I'm like, where the fuck did I put them?
They're already in there.
There was one. Let me see. You can stop holding it now.
Sweet. So it's a 3060 better than, say, a 2080 Ti?
No. You're comparing a top-end Turing GPU, which is 20 series, with the cheapest 30 series GPU that you can get. So that's not an apples to apples comparison. So the 3060 is essentially just a little bit slower than like a 2070. Just a fraction slower than a 2070 and a bit faster than a a fraction slower than like a 3070. Sorry, a 2070. Fuck. I'll get it out. It is slightly slower than a 2070. It is faster than a 2060, and that's where a 3060 sits. What's that? Question.
Twitch. He says, just a question on the strict budget and wondering if it would be cheaper to have you build it or for me to order the parts myself and build it.
Is it going to be cheaper for you just to pay for the parts or pay me to build it for you? You'll probably be able to buy the parts cheaper than what it will cost for me to build the PC. Like it's not like
free.
Yeah, but it's not like I can get parts like half price or something like that.
He buys it like pretty much what you pay.
I get the pricing that I
Sometimes
get.
it gets cheaper.
Sometimes I get things cheaper, but for the most part, you could if you did a lot of if you were really thorough and shopped around, you'd be able to get things as cheap as I can get them. And it's the same for pretty much any PC business. Some things no, but a lot of things yes. So if you're on a really strict budget, you can do it yourself, but then everything's on you then if you do it yourself. So if you have a problem with a part, then that's a warranty issue for you to deal with the shop that you bought it from, the parts that is. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So there is value in getting someone like me to build a PC for you, because you don't have to really worry about things like that. You can just return it to where you bought it and go, oh, this part's under warranty. Can you send it back for warranty? And that place, whether it's me or someone else, will go, sure, no worries, we'll send it back for warranty. And then that's it. You don't have to register your product or something like that. You're like, they always try and make you don't have to do that, because the record of me purchasing it from one of the majors that they sell to directly, that's the kind of warranty claim that they'll process in a timely manner. You won't have to deal with sending it off to somewhere you don't know. Yeah. Hey Mick, how you going? Good to have you with us.
AJ says awesome things, mate. That 3060 2080 Ti question.
Yeah, no, that's all right, man. Yeah, a lot of people get confused with that kind of stuff. Yeah, when they release the cards, usually if you look at a comparison like between a 2060 and a 3060, or a 2070 and a 3070, you can kind of make those comparisons there. And maybe, and sometimes, especially with 30 series, there was a bit of a big jump in performance with this generation. You could actually compare two different tiers between the generation, and they would come out roughly the same. So what I mean by that is an RTX 3070 is roughly the same performance as an RTX 2080 Ti. So the old flagship was about as strong as the 3070 is now. So that's kind of where that performance line cuts off. So, but it's not 3060 is better than a 2080 Ti. Well, they didn't take that much of a leap, but they did take that much of a leap that the 3070 now pretty much matches the performance of an RTX 2080 Ti. So that was pretty cool. That was I was watching the Nvidia the CEO of Nvidia try that on the day that he announced 30 series, and he's going through the specs. My jaw was just like, when I'd seen it, I was like, what? I wasn't expecting. I was expecting like 20% increases from like the previous generation, but they were massive. So yeah, a bit of fun. And yeah, comparing the cards between generations can be harder, and it's even harder to sort of make those comparisons when you've got older cards, like you go back to the 10 series and stuff like that. Okay, we're getting towards the end of these fans. It's been a little bit awkward. We've got a total of 7 fans in this case. 8 including the CPU fan.
Oh. You think maybe I do need your help. Did you do that on purpose?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. So we'll get this other fan on, and then you can go and do whatever things you want to do.
What? Okay.
Alright, the rest of them I should be good with. You just listening to her cackling downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. What? Oh, I thought it was the last bulb. Sweet as. Alrighty. Alrighty. Get our power supply installed. So yeah, this is going to look pretty good for a budget build, man. There we go. Put in this rear I/O shield. We'll put the motherboard in, and we'll start hooking everything up. A little bit of cables to manage out the back there. That's one thing about this case, there's not a great deal of room for cable management. So, once again, not necessarily the ideal choice for someone who's trying to build a PC for the first time. Sometimes a more expensive case will be easier to put together to the point that yeah, like spending that extra $20 would be the best $20 you'd ever spend. Okay, what have we got here for this hard drive tray? Oh, yep. I'm just going to remove it. I'm going to install it in top position. Where's the bolt? How many bolts have we got? 2 bolts. There we go. Let's make sure we get this around the right way. Definitely goes in this way. Sweet. Alright. So I've got that hard drive mounted in there. And what have we got? We've got a couple of offsets to put in place. Yeah.
Jaden says 18. I think even like this computer is wanted one for a while.
Oh, really? Oh, is Ethan one of your friends? Okay. Before it gets a bit too tight.
Tim,
Yeah.
AJ says I'm really enjoying my 3060 as it is. This is my first official gaming PC, so
Oh, so
it's to learn.
yeah, so if it's your first, 3060 is going to seem like the best thing that's ever happened to computer gaming as far as you're concerned. That's the thing. Like, I get people sometimes who want a PC build and they're like, oh, I want to get like this high-end thing. It's like, I've never had a computer before. And it's like, dude, just get something like reasonable first, because you won't know what you've got. You won't appreciate what you've got, because be all that you know. Like, the person who really values their 3080 is the person who struggled along with GTX 1060 for the last 5 years and stuff like that, and all they've wanted is an upgrade and blah 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 blah. Yeah. Sorry, it's a very tight fit. There we go. Yeah. For around $1,000 build, would it be better to focus on an integrated GPU, Vega 8, or with faster RAM, or to seek a dedicated GPU with slower RAM? Well, like I can answer that. I can answer that pretty simply by saying that memory is usually the last thing that you spend big money on in your PC build. You spend the bulk of your money on your CPU and your graphics card. Then if you've got extra funds after you've got a good graphics card and a good CPU, then you can start going, okay, let's get some really fast memory in here, let's do this, let's do that. But like, yeah, kind of if you're going to be using an integrated GPU and that's all you've got, I'd probably just stick with just 3200 megahertz CL16. I'd make sure that the latency definitely wasn't any higher than 16. I think that would probably be fine for the most part. You could do like a 5600 G. That would be a pretty good option there. Yeah.
Just filed yesterday. What is your opinion on some of the cheaper companies that rebuild low prices such as Metabox.
Oh,
Don't get Tim started.
no comment.
You're better off buying a PC, to be honest.
Yeah. Like,
unless you need to do like work that's, remote.
yeah, if you've got an option between a laptop and a PC, and there's no reason why you need a laptop, you never get the laptop. Because it's always a performance hit over a PC. Because it's not like, when they make laptops, they're basing them on PC technology. So what do? They reverse engineer it to fit in a small packet. So they cut the power down. Because they not only want to put it in a small packet, but they want to make it as energy efficient as possible so the battery lasts a long time. So all these things combined create sacrifices for you. And you can get some really high-end gaming laptops that will game well and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they don't represent good price to performance when you compare it to the PC. So, yeah, all things to consider there. But, and as for this build,
Tim.
yeah.
Jenkins's family.
Ah, sweet as. Well, yeah, he'll be stoked.
I'd be pretty happy with this myself.
Yep. It's actually going to look really good with this 5-fan configuration inside the case there. Even though it's a bit of a pain to put them all in, we got there. It was a pain, but it wasn't in vain. Alrighty, we've got one motherboard mounted in our case, and now we've got all this stuff to take care of out here. So, start separating some of this stuff. The hardest part's just kind of separating everything, getting everything together. So, we've got a heap of fans here. There's no way that they're all going to fit to the motherboard. So I'm going to use one of these Leon Lee controllers. Now that's going to make our lives a lot easier. So this is a powered 6-device pulse width modulation fan hub. It's very, very cheap, but it does the job. So I think I'll mount this one. Mount it right there. And that will plug in. This this is our extra one. So, what do we do with this one? I think we'll run this one. To that pump header. So that front back fan, black fan I should say, front back fan, front black fan will be hooked into the pump header, and then we shall have 6 other PWM cables to plug in. There's 2 of them. Three, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we've got these little dangly bits off here. They're like for daisy chaining fans, but we're not going to use them because we don't need them. So all these cables here, we're just going to put one cable tie around them. So if anything goes wrong, we just have one bunch to undo and one to do back up. RGB there, so we'll probably turn our attention to that. So where's our RGB headers? Right down the bottom. We may as well deal with our front panel connections here. What the fuck's up with that? There you go. That's our cable length looks like here. And we'll need another zip tie. I have to use a few more zip ties than normal in this case. Alrighty, so this is a combined USB 2 and front panel audio, and this is our front panel connections. So Okay. They're fucking done. Yeah, this is not fun trying to do this with these stands in front. Sweet. So now that all that's plugged in, it's just giving me grief. Sweet as. So now that we've got that first RGB cable hooked up, we can now start daisy chaining them up. Yeah.
Emma says this is awesome. I'm watching it.
Hey Emma, how you going? Yeah, so Emma is Ethan's mum, so she organised this awesome PC for young Ethan. So yeah, definitely a Mum of the Year award. One, two, three, four, five, 6. Yep, cool. Yeah, what's up?
I like this. And this should be a clean looking building. All in white also looks good.
Yeah. Okay, let's try to conceal these RGB cables without tying them up. So once again,
White builds more in your face.
yeah, white builds are in fashion now as well. They're like the coolest thing. All the cool kids have white builds.
Does that mean I'm a cool kid?
Okay, so we've got those RGBs kind of stashed away down there. And... ooh. We're going to have to pull out one of these. So, we're going to need one of these things. So this is a little L-bend thing that we can put in for our USB 3 because we're not going to have room with those bottom fans orientated the way that they are. Yeah.
Just one. So I'm going to build a computer that wants to wait until Alder Lake. Am I saying that wrong?
Alder Lake, yep.
Processors and motherboards were available. Do you know any places we could likely pre-order these?
Oh, they're not released. They're not being released till November, so there's still a bit of time there. Okay, so we've got that L-bend in for our USB 3. And this can go under here. So this will look slightly different to probably what you're used to seeing. Feels really loose. Okay, well I hope that's in place properly there. We'll find out when we don't have any USB 3. Now, as for this cable for our addressable fan hub here, I'm going to slide this one behind the motherboard. Actually, no. We'll just come around here because the motherboard's like right to the edge where this hole is. So you're not going to see much cable there. We'll have to route that one behind the motherboard. Okay, so now we're just left with all of these main power cables. So We need our main ATX power. We're not going to need this Molex cable, and we're not going to need this SATA cable. So what we'll do is we'll tie these down. Tie these up and they can be used later if needed, or they can be stashed away and forgotten about. Okay, so now we're left with our motherboard, graphics card, and SATA power. So we're not going to need most of this SATA cable either. We need to plug in some power to our hard drive, and we need some power to this fan hub. But other than that, this can also be stashed away out of sight and out of mind. Alrighty, so we need a serial ATA cable, SATA cable. I'm going to plug one in to our hard drive here. And that will go out through here. We'll plug that in later. So we've got our main power here for our motherboard. So this will be, so this is where tight getting the cables right matters, because it gets a bit tight here. There we go, it's all tied down with minimal zip ties. So now we've just got our graphics card power cable, which, how are we going to run this one? We'll run it the same way as that USB 3 cable. I'll try and conceal these together. Very good, so now we're onto our graphics card. So we're utilising slots 1 and 2 here. So they've just got these snap-off blanking plates at the back. So these are just disposable. And here it is. Let's get a knife. So this is the part that does all the work in terms of gaming, pretty much. The CPU and memory are involved, but mainly it's about the graphics card. Normally a graphics card is anywhere between 40 and 60% of the cost of your gaming PC. Alright, so I've got a DVI cap here on the graphics card. I'm going to put that on the motherboard. We've got a HDMI plug here as well. I'm also going to put that on the motherboard because none of those ports on the motherboard will be active. She's got to hold all the graphics cards. Can you take the plastic off the back?
Huh? It really wasn't that hard. Those leads have.
I didn't say it was going to be hard.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, the Tough Gaming card looks pretty good. It's like Ryan's, but he's got the 1660 and the triple fan one.
Yeah.
He hadn't had a computer in ages, and he was like, "Is that the graphics card? What the fuck?" He was so excited.
Building kids' PCs should swear.
Yeah, I know. But if they're old enough for PC, they've definitely heard those words before.
I guess. Encourage it.
I don't have to. There's Fortnite's a thing, man.
I know. I'm just. Oh, I'm gonna sweat now. Dick.
Alrighty, it's almost time. Oh, it's only the 1650 Super that needs power. Okay. Well, we're done. That was nice and easy. Hour and a half. Get this back panel on nice and easy. Oh yeah. So that's the main thing about the cable management, right? Is that you should be able to close this back panel with ease. Sometimes you might have to apply a little bit of pressure, but ideally if you've done the cable management to a good level, you won't have to worry about that. Some Wi-Fi antennas. Okay, well, I want to test USB 3 here at the front. Alrighty. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. And look at that! USB 3 is working. And so as you can see there on the front of the case, having that fan down low, you can see that bottom RGB fan, but you can't see anything at the top. It doesn't have a grate. And then yeah, obviously we've got fans on the top and fans on the bottom there. So I don't think the camera's really doing it justice right now, but it's looking pretty good. Okay, so now that Windows is installing, I'm just going to plug our SATA drive in. Alrighty. So let's put our door back on. There we go. Alright. Okay. Now we can plug in some internet. Also plug in my SSD. Okay. Put down some custom desktop icons so everything stays nice and organized when we install this stuff. We want our NVIDIA drivers. Oh. Alright, there's that graphics card driver. Huh? Oh, for fuck's sake. Literally just taking time out of my day for this stupid little feral cat. Yeah, row. You're a fucking little feral. Corsair IQ. Um, Huh? Oh. That's interesting. Alright. So we'll tune our fans here on our graphics card. And we'll set up our on-screen display. Set our controls. Okay, so it's going to reboot and do its thing. It's going to continue installing an update. So I'll be back. there's our RGB strip on the front. Okay, so I'll get that BIOS updated to the latest version there. Oh, fuck. So fast, I missed it. Oh, it's already got the latest BIOS. Okay. Well, that was nice and easy. What's going on here? Okay. So there's our SSD speeds from our Crucial P1. That controller doesn't seem like it's working. Before I do anything else, I just want to check that. See, it's definitely addressable because it's like powering down, but not off when we restart. It just like instantly. Okay. There we go. There we go. Alright, so I should have full control of the fans now. You just have to use the manual customization to get it to get the 6 fans to change. The others will respond to those profiles. Sweet as. So this number here below RAM is how many frames a second it's currently running at. And so I'll run through our 3 benchmarks and then we'll do our stress tests, and that'll be the end of the night. Okay, so that's cycling through now. So I do Valley on max settings. Okay, it looks like Valley has cycled through. And so the last one is 4K. So this isn't really a 4K graphics card. Like, it'll output to 4K, but look at that. Sort of maxing out its capacity there. It's not even gonna, it doesn't even want to run that. Let's do something different. Instead of going high, let's go low. Okay. So before I forget, I'm going to turn off all this annoying stuff that opens up automatically. And that. Yeah, they can come on. Okay, so we're at the end of the night now. Okay. So run this one for 90 minutes. So now's the time. If you have any other final questions for me tonight, shout out or forever hold your peace. Nope, that looks like it's it. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed tonight's feed. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.